The coffee splashed across his crisp white shirt like modern art, dark brown bleeding into pristine fabric. Time slowed as I watched the liquid spread, my hands still frozen mid-gesture from the collision. Of all the ways to make an impression at the biggest tech conference of the year, this had to be the worst. "I'm so sorry," I stammered, grabbing napkins from my bag. "I was reading an email while walking." "Stupid, I know." He looked down at the spreading stain, and to my surprise, laughed. "Well, at least it wasn't hot coffee. Though I have to admit, this is a creative way to network. I'm Faith, and this is how I met Sam Mitchell. This is also how I started down a path that would teach me exactly how far a mother's love could twist into something dark and destructive." "Let me buy you a new shirt," I offered, still mortified. "There's a department store just across from the convention center. Only if you'll let me buy you another coffee after. The one you're wearing on my shirt looked pretty good." His smile was disarming, genuine in a way that made my guard slip. In the tech world, genuine anything was rare. Everyone was always selling something, pitching their next big idea, networking with ulterior motives. But Sam's eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled, and there wasn't a hint of artifice in his expression. 20 minutes later, we were walking back to the conference, Sam in a new blue button-down that actually suited him better than the white one. He carried 2 fresh coffees, having insisted on buying despite my protests. "So, Faith Reynolds," he said, reading my conference badge. "Founder of Mindful Tech. I've heard of your meditation app. Pretty impressive user growth last quarter. You follow app analytics in your spare time. When the developer is interesting enough." He handed me my coffee with another one of those genuine smiles. Though I have to admit, I pictured someone more zen. Wearing flowing robes and speaking in riddles. Older, actually. Most successful tech founders I know are pushing 50 and talking about their 3rd divorce. I snorted into my coffee. "Sorry to disappoint. Single, 32, and only one failed startup under my belt before this one took off." We ended up missing the next 2 conference sessions, sitting in the lobby trading stories about coding disasters and startup nightmares. Sam worked for a competing tech company, but there wasn't any of the usual industry tension. Instead, there was something electric in the way our conversation flowed, how one topic led naturally to another. "You should meet my mother," he said suddenly, after I'd finished telling him about my dad's reaction to my first successful funding round. "She's going to hate you." I blinked, thrown by the abrupt shift. Is that supposed to be a selling point? She hates anyone who might take attention away from her. It's actually become my litmus test for interesting people. His tone was light, but something flickered behind his eyes. Though fair warning, she's made 3 potential daughters-in-law cry at first meetings. Sounds charming. Does she also push children into gingerbread ovens? He laughed, but it didn't quite reach his eyes this time. Close. She's a retired school principal. Probably made more kids cry than Hansel and Gretel's whichever did. My phone buzzed with a reminder, my presentation was in 15 minutes. As I stood to leave, Sam caught my hand. "Have dinner with me tonight," he said. "I promise no maternal introductions yet. Just good food and more coffee-free conversation." I should have recognized the warning signs in how he talked about his mother. Should have seen the shadow that crossed his face, the careful way he joked about her. But standing there, feeling the warmth of his hand on mine, all I could think about was how long it had been since someone had made me laugh like this. "Okay," I said. "But I picked the restaurant. Somewhere with dark furniture, just in case." I didn't know then that accepting that dinner invitation would set off a chain of events that would test every boundary I had. Every conviction I held. I didn't know that Carol Mitchell was already planning ways to destroy me, even before she knew I existed. 3 months of dating Sam felt like floating in a perfect bubble. Then came Sunday dinner at his mother's house, and reality hit like a brick through glass. Carol Mitchell's home looked exactly like you'd expect from a retired school principal: immaculate garden, pristine white trim. Every blade of grass standing at attention. She opened the door before we could ring the bell. Samuel. She pulled him into a tight embrace, then turned to me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. And you must be Faith. The living room was a museum of Sam's achievements. Academic awards, sports trophies, professional accolades, all arranged with military precision. Family photos covered one wall, chronicling Sam's life from infancy to present. In every single one, Carol stood beside him, her hand possessively on his shoulder. Sam tells me you're in computers. Carol's voice dripped with polite disdain as she poured tea into delicate china cups. I founded a tech company. We develop meditation and mindfulness apps. How fascinating. She stirred her tea with precise movements. Though I always thought meditation was rather self-indulgent. In my day, we dealt with stress by being productive. Sam shifted uncomfortably beside me. Mom, Faith's company just secured major venture capital funding. They're projecting. Samuel, dear, could you check the roast? I'm worried it might be overdone. The moment Sam left the room, Carol's demeanor shifted. The polite smile remained, but her eyes turned to steel. Let's be direct, shall we? Samuel needs someone who understands family values. Traditional values. Not some startup girl playing at business. I set my teacup down carefully, fighting to keep my voice steady. I care about Sam. That's not playing at anything. Of course you do, dear. They all do, at first. But Samuel has responsibilities here. Family obligations. Surely you've noticed how much he's needed at home. The pieces clicked into place, Sam's constant phone calls from his mother, the guilt-laden requests for help with endless household tasks. The way he rearranged our dates when she claimed to need him. Sam's an adult. He can make his own choices. Carol's laugh was soft and cruel. Can he? Did he tell you about Rebecca? Lovely girl, wanted to move to Seattle for her career. Or Catherine, who thought she could convince him to spend Christmas with her family instead of here. They all thought they understood Samuel better than his own mother. The threat hung in the air between us, wrapped in doilies and served with tea. Sam returned, oblivious to the tension. Roast is perfect, Mom. Just like always. Through dinner, I watched their dynamic unfold like a horror show in slow motion. Every time Sam spoke about our relationship or his work, Carol redirected the conversation to his childhood or family obligations. When he mentioned our planned vacation, she clutched her chest and mentioned her upcoming medical tests. I do hope you'll be here for those, Samuel. The doctors say the results could be serious. I caught the flash of manipulation in her eyes. There were no medical tests. Of course, Mom. I'll reschedule the trip. Under the table, my nails dug into my palms. Sam's hand found mine, squeezed gently, missing the point entirely. Later, in the car, Sam was quiet. That wasn't so bad, right? Mom can be intense, but she means well. I thought about Carol's perfectly arranged shrine to control, about the casual way she'd threatened me over tea, about the women who'd come before me. Your mother just told me she has medical tests coming up, I said carefully. When are they scheduled? I'm not sure. Why? Because I think you should ask her for the specific dates. And the doctor's name. And the actual condition being tested. He frowned. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm telling you your mother lied to manipulate you into canceling our vacation. The car swerved slightly as Sam's hands tightened on the wheel. You don't know her. She wouldn't. Ask her, Sam. Just ask for the details. We drove in silence for several minutes before he spoke again. Even if she's still my mother. In that moment, I understood exactly what I was up against. Carol Mitchell hadn't just built a cage for her son, she'd convinced him the bars were made of love. Fine. If she wanted war, I'd give her one. But we'd play by my rules, not hers. The email arrived on a Tuesday morning, forwarded by a friend at another tech company. Thought you should see this, was all she wrote. My hands trembled as I read Carol's message to the board members of my largest investor. Allegations of intellectual property theft, hints at unstable behavior, carefully worded concerns about my company's financial stability. All wrapped in a concerned citizen's duty to protect investors from potential fraud. The phone rang. Sam's name flashed on the screen. Can't talk now, I said, my voice tight. Emergency board meeting. Everything okay? I stared at Carol's email signature, still using her title as school principal emeritus to lend authority to her accusations. Your mother's been busy. Silence stretched across the line. What do you mean? Ask her about the email she sent to my investors. The one where she suggests I'm unstable and my company's built on stolen code. That doesn't sound like. Don't. The word came out sharp enough to cut. Don't defend her. Not this time. After the board meeting, 3 hours of defending my reputation and providing documentation of my code's originality, I drove to Grace's art studio. My sister took one look at my face and pulled out the emergency whiskey she kept behind her paint supplies. She's escalating, I said, accepting the glass. First the medical tests lie, then the sudden plumbing emergency during our anniversary dinner, now this. Grace perched on her workbench, studying me. You know what Dad would say about this? That I should walk away. The whiskey burned going down. Let her win. That you're fighting the wrong battle. Grace's voice softened. You're trying to beat Carol at her own game, but she's had decades of practice at manipulation. You need to change the rules. I thought about Sam, about how he still couldn't see the patterns in his mother's behavior. About how every confrontation ended with him caught in the middle, trying to please everyone. I found Rebecca, I said quietly. The ex who wanted to move to Seattle. She works in tech too. Grace's eyebrows shot up. And? Carol didn't just guilt-trip her into staying. She called Rebecca's potential employers, told them Rebecca was unstable, had a history of professional misconduct. Killed her job prospects until Seattle wasn't even an option. Jesus. There were others too. Catherine, Emma, Sarah. Different tactics, same result. Carol systematically destroyed every relationship that threatened her control over Sam. My phone buzzed, another message from Sam. I ignored it. What are you going to do? Grace asked. I pulled out my laptop, opened the file I'd been building. Screenshots of Carol's emails, testimonies from Sam's exes, a timeline of her interventions. I'm going to show Sam exactly who his mother is. All of it, all at once. No more gradual revelations she can explain away. That could backfire spectacularly. Probably will. I took another sip of whiskey. But I'm done playing defense. Carol wants to paint me as unstable. Fine. Let's see how she handles someone who's actually willing to burn everything down. Grace was quiet for a long moment. You love him that much? Enough to risk losing him to save him? Yeah, I do. My phone buzzed again. This time it was an email from Carol, copied to Sam. She was deeply concerned about my emotional reaction to her civic duty of protecting investors. The subtext was clear: she was building a paper trail, establishing a pattern of instability she could use against me later. I forwarded it to my evidence file, then finally answered Sam's messages. Dinner tonight. We need to talk. Mom's worried about you, he wrote back. Says you seemed unstable at the board meeting. My laugh was bitter enough to make Grace wince. I'm fine, I typed. Just ready for the truth to come out. I closed my laptop, feeling the weight of the documentation inside it. Tonight, I'd show Sam everything. Every manipulation, every sabotaged relationship, Every calculated move his mother had made to keep him under her control. Either it would open his eyes, or it would end us. But at least there'd be no more shadows for Carol to hide in, no more plausible deniability for her actions. Sometimes the only way to win is to change the game entirely. Sam proposed on a Tuesday evening, kneeling in the same spot where I'd first spilled coffee on him. Perfect, romantic, everything a proposal should be. Then his phone buzzed with his mother's ringtone, and reality crashed back in. She already knows, doesn't she? I asked as he reached for the phone. His silence was answer enough. The diamond ring felt suddenly heavy on my finger. I had to tell her, Faith. She's my mother. And I'm supposed to be your future wife. The words tasted bitter. Did she approve the ring too? His phone kept buzzing. Each vibration felt like a countdown to something inevitable. You should answer it, I said. Before she calls the police to report me kidnapping you. He winced but took the call. I watched his face change as Carol spoke, his joy dimming with each passing second. When he hung up, he looked pale. She wants us to come over. Now. Of course she does. Carol's house was dark except for the living room. She sat in her favorite armchair like a queen holding court, a manila envelope in her lap. Samuel, dear, could you make us some tea? The moment Sam left, Carol tossed the envelope onto the coffee table. Open it. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Me meeting with Rebecca and the other exes. Screenshots of emails. My evidence file against her, laid out in perfect chronological order. Did you really think I wouldn't have people watching you? Carol's voice was silk over steel. That I wouldn't know exactly what you were planning? Those women deserved to tell their stories. Those women were wrong for my son. Just like you're wrong for him. She leaned forward. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to break off the engagement. Tell Samuel you're not ready for marriage, that you need to focus on your company. He'll be hurt, but he'll understand eventually. Or what? Or I release proof that you've been systematically harassing my son's ex-girlfriends, building a delusional conspiracy theory about his mother. Combined with your recent unstable behavior at work. She smiled. Well, tech investors are quite skittish about scandal, aren't they? The teacup rattled as Sam set it down. Neither of us had heard him return. Mom? What's going on? Carol's mask slipped back into place. Oh, Samuel. I was just explaining to Faith why this engagement is a mistake. She's been quite disturbed lately, gathering information about me, contacting your ex-girlfriends. Because you destroyed their lives. The words burst out before I could stop them. Tell him, Carol. Tell him about the jobs you ruined, the relationships you sabotaged. Tell him why he's never managed to keep a girlfriend for more than 6 months. Faith, you're becoming hysterical. Carol's voice dripped concern. This is exactly what I was worried about. I turned to Sam, desperate. Look at the photos. Read the emails. It's all there. He picked up the envelope with shaking hands, but Carol spoke first. Samuel, dear, remember what Dr. Harrison said about enabling paranoid behavior? Sometimes love means making hard choices. Dr. Harrison. The therapist Carol had insisted Sam see after his father died. Another piece clicked into place. She's been laying the groundwork for this for months, I realized. The concerns about my stability, the calls to my investors, all of it. She was building toward this moment. Sam stood frozen between us, the envelope clutched in his hands. The choice lay before him, look at the evidence or trust his mother one more time. Slowly, deliberately, he set the envelope down unopened. I think, he said quietly, we all need some time to calm down. In that moment, I saw our future play out. Years of Carol's manipulations, of Sam's willful blindness, of my own anger burning everything it touched. I slipped the ring off my finger. No, I said. What we need is the truth. All of it. But you have to want to see it, Sam. I placed the ring on the coffee table and walked out. Behind me, I heard Carol's triumphant intake of breath, Sam calling my name. I didn't look back. Some battles you win by refusing to fight them on your enemy's terms. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The man had been following me for 3 days. Always at a distance, always pretending to be absorbed in his phone, but there. Outside my office, near my favorite coffee shop, lurking at the edges of my routine like a persistent shadow. I caught his reflection in a store window, mid-50s, expensive suit, trying too hard to look casual. Not Carol's usual style, but then again, she was escalating. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam, "Can we talk?" 3 weeks since I'd walked out of Carol's house, leaving my engagement ring behind. 3 weeks of his messages growing increasingly desperate as Carol's web of manipulation tightened around him. I didn't respond. Instead, I turned down an alley, then another, watching my shadow dance to keep up. At the third turn, I stopped abruptly and spun around. Either you're the worst private investigator ever, or you wanted me to notice you. He lowered his phone, smile sharp as a razor. "Miss Reynolds. Shall we discuss this somewhere more comfortable?" The cafe he chose was upscale, quiet. He ordered espresso and introduced himself as James Warner, P.I. "Carol Mitchell hired you," I said. It wasn't a question. Among others. He slid a folder across the table. "Your father's gambling debts from 15 years ago. Your sister's arrest record, sealed, but not irretrievable. Your company's early funding sources, some of which might raise regulatory eyebrows." My hands clenched around my coffee cup. "Is this the part where you threaten to expose everything unless I stay away from Sam?" "Actually, this is the part where I offer to work for you instead." The cup froze halfway to my lips. "What?" "Carol Mitchell has hired 4 different investigators in the past decade. Each time, we found exactly what she wanted, or manufactured it when necessary. But you?" He leaned forward. "You're different. You fight back. So this is what, professional admiration? This is business." Carol's getting sloppy. Desperate. The kind of desperate that leaves paper trails. Electronic records. Witnesses willing to talk, for the right price. My phone buzzed again. "Sam, Mom's telling everyone you're having a breakdown. Please call me." "Why should I trust you?" I asked Warner. "Because I have something Carol doesn't, proof that Sam's father didn't die of natural causes." The world tilted sideways. "What?" "Let's just say Carol's control issues didn't start with you. Thomas Mitchell was planning to leave her, had consulted a divorce attorney. Then came the unfortunate accident with his heart medication." "You're lying." He shrugged. "Check the toxicology reports." Oh wait, they disappeared. Along with the attorney's files and Thomas's original will. Funny how that happens. My phone lit up with another message, this time from Grace, "Faith, Sam's at my studio." He found the envelope. The one from Carol's house. He finally looked inside. Warner watched me read the message, his expression knowing. "Tick-tock, Miss Reynolds. Carol's already laying groundwork to have you declared unstable. How long before there's another unfortunate accident?" I thought about Carol's perfectly arranged house, her carefully constructed narratives. The way she'd systematically eliminated every threat to her control. How many lives had she destroyed? How many more would she ruin? If what you're saying about Thomas Mitchell is true, why didn't you expose her years ago? Professional courtesy. But trying to destroy your company, threatening your family? That crosses a line. He stood, dropping a business card on the table. "Call me when you're ready to fight fire with fire." My phone buzzed one final time. "Sam, I need to see you. Now. There are things about Mom." Things I should have seen years ago. I picked up Warner's card, feeling the weight of decisions yet to come. Carol wanted to play hardball. Fine. But she'd forgotten something crucial about tech entrepreneurs: we don't just disrupt markets. We disrupt everything. I texted Sam back, "Meet me at my office in an hour. Bring the envelope. Bring everything." Then I called Warner. "I want every piece of evidence you have on Carol Mitchell. Every document, every witness, every secret she thought she'd buried. Whatever it costs. And what do you plan to do with it?" I thought about Sam's father, about all the women whose lives Carol had destroyed, about the careful house of cards she'd built around her son. I planned to burn it all down. The mountain cabin was supposed to be our escape. 2 days away from Carol's schemes, from Warner's revelations, from the weight of everything we'd discovered. Sam had insisted, a chance to reconnect, to process, to plan our next move. I'd been sick all morning, blaming it on altitude and stress. But as I stared at the pregnancy test in the cabin's tiny bathroom, 2 pink lines mocked my carefully laid plans. Sam's voice came through the door. "Faith? You okay?" I opened the door, test in hand. His face cycled through confusion, shock, joy, and then, fear. "Mom can't know," he said immediately. "Not until we figure out how to handle this." But my phone was already buzzing. A text from an unknown number: "Congratulations on the little one. Carol sends her regards." Attached was a photo of me buying the pregnancy test at a gas station on our way up the mountain. She had people watching us even here. Sam read the message over my shoulder, his face hardening. "I'll call her. Tell her to back off. Don't." I grabbed his arm. "That's what she wants. To make you choose between your unborn child and your mother." Then what do we do? The cabin's window framed the mountains beyond, vast and indifferent. Somewhere out there, Carol was moving pieces on her board, always 3 steps ahead. The evidence Warner had provided about Sam's father's death was damning but circumstantial. Not enough to prove murder, just enough to destroy a family. "We leave," I said suddenly. "Tonight. My company has offices in Singapore. We can run away. Let her win." "Let her win what, Sam? She's already taken everything else. Your past relationships, your independence, maybe even your father. I won't let her take our child too." His phone lit up, Carol's number. He stared at it, conflict etched in every line of his face. "I need to tell her to stop. Just once. Make her understand. She understands perfectly. That's why she's winning." But he was already answering. I watched his expression change as Carol spoke, her words too quiet for me to hear but their impact visible in how Sam seemed to shrink, to fade. "Mom's coming up," he said after hanging up. "She's worried about us being isolated up here. Says there's a storm coming." "Of course she is." My laugh was bitter. "And you told her exactly where we are." "She's still my mother, Faith." "Is she? Or is she the woman who might have killed your father?" The words hung between us like smoke. Sam stepped back, shaking his head. "Those are just theories. Warner could be lying. Like I was lying about her sabotaging your other relationships. Like I was lying about her hiring PIs. Outside, thunder rolled across the mountains. The storm Carol had warned about, right on cue. Even nature conspired with her timing. "I can't do this anymore," I said quietly. "I can't fight her and fight for you at the same time. Not with a baby coming." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to choose. Really choose, Sam. Not just say the words, but actually break free. Because I won't raise our child in Carol's shadow." He reached for me, but I stepped away. Through the window, I saw headlights winding up the mountain road. Carol, racing the storm to maintain her control. "I'll be at Grace's," I said, grabbing my bag. When you're ready to choose your child over your mother's manipulation, you know where to find me. Faith, please. Just wait until Mom gets here. We can talk about this. That's the problem, Sam. We've been talking while she's been acting. And now. I pressed a hand to my stomach, where our child grew unaware of the chaos around it. Now the stakes are too high for talk. I walked out into the gathering storm, leaving Sam standing in the doorway. Behind me, Carol's headlights grew closer, searching through the darkness like predators' eyes. Let her come. Let her spin her webs and pull her strings. I had something worth fighting for now, something that made all her schemes and manipulations seem small. I had a future to protect. Grace's baby shower was supposed to be a peace offering. Sam had finally agreed to marriage counseling, Carol had promised to maintain boundaries. And my sister thought celebrating new life might heal old wounds. We should have known better. I was opening gifts when Carol clinked her glass, rising with that perfect principal's posture. Before we continue, I feel obligated to share something. For the baby's sake. The room went quiet. Sam tensed beside me. Faith, dear, I've spoken with Dr. Harrison. Carol's voice carried perfectly, each word a carefully placed knife. He's very concerned about your mental state. The paranoid accusations, the obsessive behavior, the sudden pregnancy right when Sam was pulling away. My hands clenched around the half-unwrapped onesie. Don't. A baby shouldn't be a trap, dear. And Samuel deserves to know if this child is even. Mom. Sam's voice cracked like thunder. Stop. But Carol was on a roll, playing to her audience of friends and family. The timing is just so convenient. Right after he called off the engagement. I called it off, I said, standing. Because you might have murdered his father. The room went dead silent. Carol's face whitened, then flushed. How dare you? The toxicology reports disappeared, Carol. Just like Thomas's original will. Just like every woman who ever threatened your control over Sam. Faith, Sam warned, reaching for my arm. I shrugged him off. No more secrets. No more manipulation. Tell them about Rebecca's job offers. Tell them about Catherine's family. Tell them about the private investigators and the threats in. Carol moved faster than I expected. Her hand caught my arm, spinning me toward the stairs. You're hysterical. This is exactly what Dr. Harrison warned us about. Let go of me. Mom, stop. Sam tried to intervene. But Carol was beyond reason, her careful mask cracking. I will not let you destroy this family with your delusions. I will not let you take my son with your lies and your trap baby. I wrenched away. The world tilted. My foot caught the edge of the top stair. Time slowed. I saw Grace lunging forward, Sam's face contorting in horror, Carol's expression shifting from rage to something like satisfaction. Then I was falling. The impact drove the air from my lungs. Pain exploded through my side. Above me, voices shouted, feet thundered downstairs. Faith. Sam's face appeared over me, terror in his eyes. Don't move. We're calling an ambulance. The baby, I gasped. Sam, the baby. It's her own fault. Carol's voice floated down. She was hysterical, dangerous. Dr. Harrison will confirm. Shut up. Sam's voice was ice. Just shut up, Mom. I heard you. Everyone heard you. We all saw what you did. Samuel, I was trying to protect. Like you protected Dad? His words cut through the chaos. Did he need protection too? When he wanted to leave. Carol's face appeared at the top of the stairs, shock replacing satisfaction. Who told you? I found the original toxicology report. Sam's hand gripped mine as sirens wailed in the distance. Warner kept copies of everything. Everything, Mom. It's over. Blood was soaking through my dress. The pain was getting worse. But through it all, I saw Carol's mask finally shatter completely. I did it for you, she whispered. Everything I did was for you. No. Sam's voice broke. Everything you did was for yourself. The paramedics arrived in a blur of activity. As they loaded me onto the stretcher, I caught one last glimpse of Carol. She stood frozen at the top of the stairs, watching her carefully constructed world crumble, while Grace quietly filmed everything on her phone. Evidence, my sister mouthed, her artist's hands steady on the camera. Sam held my hand in the ambulance, his face wet with tears. I'm so sorry. I should have seen it sooner. Should have believed you. The baby, I managed through the pain. We'll fight for our family, he promised. No more manipulation. No more control. As consciousness faded, I thought of Carol standing alone at the top of those stairs. She'd wanted to destroy me, but in the end, she'd destroyed herself. Sometimes revenge looks exactly like justice. Thomas James Mitchell Reynolds weighed 4 pounds, 6 ounces when he entered the world fighting. Just like his mother, the nurses said. Just like his namesakes, the grandfather he'd never meet, and the father who'd raised me to recognize manipulation when I saw it. Sam hadn't left my side since the fall, through the emergency surgery, the weeks of bed rest. The premature labor that brought our son into the world 2 months early. Now he stood at the NICU window, watching our son breathe, while Grace's video evidence played on repeat in courtrooms and police stations. Carol's carefully constructed world had crumbled like a house of cards. The toxicology report Warner provided led to exhumation orders, to questions about Thomas Mitchell's death that couldn't be ignored. Her former victims came forward one by one, Rebecca, Catherine, others we hadn't even known about. Each story added another brick to the prison cell she'd built herself. She's asking to see him, Sam said quietly, not turning from the window. Says she has a right to meet her grandson. Through the glass, Thomas's tiny chest rose and fell, each breath a victory. Each moment alive a rebellion against the grandmother who'd tried to prevent his existence. What did you tell her? Nothing yet. But her lawyer says if we don't allow visitation, she'll claim diminished capacity. Say grief over Dad's death made her unstable. Use it to get a lighter sentence. Of course she would. Even now, Carol was manipulating, calculating, looking for angles to exploit. She'll never stop, will she? Sam pressed his hand against the glass. No. But we can. The NICU door opened. A nurse wheeled Thomas out in his incubator, tubes and wires making him look smaller than he was. But his eyes were open, alert, tracking our movements with an intensity that reminded me of those first moments with Sam. Coffee staining his shirt as our lives collided. Would you like to hold him? The nurse asked. I settled into the rocking chair as she placed Thomas in my arms. So small, yet so strong. Like love. Like truth. Like justice. I got another message from Warner, Sam said. Mom's been asking about Dad's original will. The one that disappeared. Seems he left half his estate to a daughter from his first marriage. A marriage Mom made him deny existed. I looked up sharply. Sam has a sister. He nodded. Living in Seattle. Right where Rebecca was trying to move us. Mom didn't just kill Dad's past, she killed my chance to know my family. Thomas squirmed in my arms, his tiny hand wrapping around my finger. Such a simple gesture, yet it contained everything Carol had spent her life destroying. Connection. Trust. Unconditional love. What do you want to do? I asked. I want to meet my sister. Want Thomas to know his aunt. Want to build something honest from all Mom's lies. He knelt beside us, touching our son's cheek. But first, I want to tell Mom exactly why she'll never see him. Not because we're cruel. Not because we want revenge, but because some choices can't be unmade. Through the window, dawn painted the city in shades of possibility. Somewhere out there, Carol sat in a cell, plotting her next move. Somewhere, Sam's sister was living her life, unaware she had a brother searching for her. And here, in this quiet room, our son breathed his defiance against darkness. "We should name the company after him," I said suddenly. Sam looked puzzled. "What?" "The new company. The one I'm building to help people recognize and escape manipulation. Thomas James Solutions. TJS." He smiled, understanding dawning. A legacy of truth instead of lies. Something good from something broken. Thomas sighed in his sleep, secure in the knowledge that some loves are stronger than manipulation. Some truths more powerful than carefully constructed lies. We'd built our happiness from the ashes of Carol's control, but we hadn't done it for revenge. We'd done it for him. For every truth he'd inherit, every choice he'd make freely. Every moment he'd live unburdened by the weight of someone else's desperate need for control. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's simply living well, loving fiercely, and letting truth light the way forward.